All right, welcome to the Hook Pod. I'm Chunk.
And I'm the Chippy. And today on the pod, we're having a special talk, and it's all about tackle. It's the spring edition of Tackle Talk, our very first. And today on the pod, we've got Scott Coghlan from the Western Angler magazine, the editor and owner, and Callum Dowell. And he is the Muss Lord. We've had him on before as well. And we're going to be talking everything tackle for springtime in the rivers, the estuaries, and anywhere you can do some light fishing. Welcome, boys.
Great to be here.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Yeah, I'm really keen to dive into this episode.
This episode, it's sponsored by Trailblazers, who have kindly, thank you to Paul Lawson, given us all the equipment that we need to show everybody. We have rods, reels, we have lures, we have line, and we've got a couple of experts here with us, apparently.
Pressure's on.
That are going to show us.
Can explain it to everyone.
Yeah, explain to everybody what we do with this stuff and how we get started fishing and a lot of the newer stuff on the market. What are we going to start with? We're going to, are we going rods, reels?
Yeah, start with rods. Start with the first step of the...
So if we're heading down to the river...
You need a rod.
Yep, and that's where Dowley spends most of his time.
Unless you want to go hand on it.
What are we using, Dowley?
Oh, well, you've got two champion brands, which is Dowell and Shimano, which is, readily accessible at tackle stores and stuff like that. There's other brands that are quite niche and people really rate, but today we're just going to look at some Dowell and Shimano rods.
They've been around for a long time.
Yeah, and the technology is just getting incredible. You can, these two rods we've got here, they're a couple $100.
Yeah.
But, probably 10 years ago, the technology in these rods, they were about a $400 or $500 rod. So they've come a long way, and it's just really readily accessible, and you can get on the water at a good price.
Well, I think, and that's one of the things, there is fishing gear nowadays for every budget. You can spend, people say, how much should I spend on a rod? Well, how much do you want to spend?
Yeah.
You can spend $700 and you'll get a really nice rod. But nowadays you can spend $200 and you'll still get a really nice rod.
Yep.
There's something for everyone, really. And look at these, as Callum said, they're $200, $235. They feel beautiful in the hand. They will cast well. They'll fight fish well. They'll do the job. So you don't necessarily have to go out and spend the big bucks.
Yeah, it's a bit daunting when you go down the tackle shops or even looking online about there's lots of different things you got to look at, P1, P2, P3, and I wanted you guys to explain that to us because I don't understand that. My son talks about that when he gives me a rod, puts it in my hand, and I said, what does that mean? So...
Well, it used to be pounds, didn't it?
Yeah, it's a line class now. They
10 to
rate
20 pound.
Yeah.
Yep, so they're rated
It's a Japanese
Yep.
way of measuring, line strength.
Right. So the smaller P1, P2 are for smaller fish and lighter gear.
Yep.
Yeah, and then you get PA 0.4,
Yep.
0.6. Yeah, I don't actually, I haven't adopted that yet.
You're working on the old way?
I just have
I still
own
go for
pounds,
just 4 or 6 pound.
Yeah, exactly.
Although, doing the mag, it's all got to be metric. If I ride, it has to be metric, so it's 2 kilo, 2.5 kilo.
Yeah.
But if I was bream fishing, I'd probably use 4 or 6 pound braid.
Yeah.
Be what I'd be running.
So what have we got there? They're like 6, 7 foot?
Yeah, so the Dowell, we've just got a Dowell black label here. It's a 7.2. I've actually never picked this rod up before, but we were just down at Trailblazers, and I just a mid-range rod, and picked it up, and I felt this actually feels really good. So it's a grub and bones. You can see it's got a really long butt section on the end, and I just thought that adds great versatility to a rod. I can already see now that you're going to get a really good casting distance on that, and if you do hook a mulloway or a salmon comes into the river, you've got that long buck section to kind of tuck it under your arm and take the pressure off your wrist as well.
Yeah.
Being 7.2, generally speaking, the longer the rod, the better the casting distance. It does kind of narrow your prospects a little bit when you fishing snags and things like that, because a shorter rod fishing snags, you can get around little tight areas a bit easier, and it's a bit easier to control. But I reckon for a beginner, this rod's pretty incredible. Like, you want to be fishing in a bit of open air as a first timer, or you're just getting into lure fishing. So getting on the flats, walking around seems like a really good option.
What's the go with your eyelets? The biggest thing I noticed, I haven't bought a rod for 5 years, but these bits here coming off your eyelet between there and your blank, but
Extended feet.
Up the top half of your rod, you don't have that.
Well, it's all about line coming off the reel, isn't it? You're pulling the line off the reel, narrowing it down, and then straight out through those end guides. So it's about the casting distance.
Yeah.
And guide technology just seems to move from time to time, doesn't it? You get different variations, different companies do different things, but this seems to be the sort of trend
Always
at the
evolving.
moment.
Titanium silicon guides. They're all the go, apparently,
Yeah.
from Japan.
Yeah. It's
all about friction and all that sort of thing. It just helps you with your casting distance.
Yeah, and they're constantly putting different technology into it and different materials. The lighter, the better with a rod as well. So,
yeah, they're definitely light.
but sometimes it can go either way, because if you make a smaller componentry rod, then if you're running like an Albright knot, or potentially you're going to get the knot caught up in the guides if you're fishing like a little bit heavier leader.
Yep.
So it just all depends. You picking it up at the shop and go, well, I'm planning on fishing a 10-pound lead with this, then you don't want to be using micro guides, because unless you're using very short leaders or you're dead eye with your FG knots, then you're probably going to get hooked up in the guides.
Mm.
If you get something a bit bigger with one of them, are you going to be pretty right?
Yeah, I've caught plenty of, and you would have as well, caught plenty of mulloway and even salmon on brim gear, and you just adjust your technique.
Yeah, just take it easy.
Don't try and rip their head off or anything, and let them take their time, and you'll get anything in on, well, most things in on these sorts of rods.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't want to high stick them or anything.
No.
You just got to make sure you keep your hands down that end and not halfway up the rod.
Yeah.
I saw one up at Coral Bay
They
last
do
year.
explode well.
Yeah.
When they go, they do explode well.
Busted in half very quickly.
Yeah.
It was a bit
You mentioned how light
better.
though, like that is just so light. I mean, and you would have grown up in the days of fiberglass rods.
Yeah.
I mean, that is ridiculously light. You'd fish all day
Yep.
casting with that, and you're not going to know.
And
nice little reel.
The feel for the fish would be fantastic on something like that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you feel everything.
Absolutely
Every
everything.
head shake, every surge.
Yeah, and with the advancements in braid as well, just you can feel your lure just bouncing along the sand.
Yeah, wow.
Like every little
The
grain of sand, it
vibration,
feels
yeah.
like you can feel it, and because your fingers on the actual rod itself, it's obviously if your finger or hand was on the cork or the EVA, then it just kind of buffers the feeling a little bit. But with this as sensor, Shimano sensor, it's a 7 foot. Your fingers are actually on the rod itself, and you just feel absolutely everything.
And they're easy, just one-handed. I mean,
Yeah, brilliant. I love that sort of one-handed, especially if it's like, I do a lot of kayak fishing, so that's one thing. But just to wade the flats just with a light little flick rod and just be the one hand and playing fish. And as I get older, I think I like it more and more.
It's
I sort
good
of
fun.
gravitate back towards the really light stuff over heavier gear because it's just so much fun.
Yeah.
It's just
So
delightful to use.
user-friendly.
Good from us old blokes too. Quite easy to handle. But I can imagine, stand on the front of your boat and getting close to snags and that with rods like that. You've just been able to, do it so easily with something so light, and the feel, it must be just great.
Well, the other thing that's happened now, I don't know if you've tried it or not, is the bait finesse system stuff, the BFS. I don't know if you've tried that or not, but a lot of people using that now, very light bait casters that are set up for that sort of thing. For people have loved bait casters for barra and that direct casting, and now that they've adapted them for this sort of fishing. So that's another huge thing that's really taken off. Have you tried it?
Yeah, I have. I own a BFS system rod and reel. They're not cheap. I mean, you can. There's a lot of forums on Facebook where you can go and access, and they'll give you like good AliExpress items that $70 or whatever. But but it's all about tricking them out as well. So changing all the bearings and changing the spool and just little things that you can buy a kit for each reel to trick it up. I mean, I've used it a little bit. I caught a really big fish on it. I don't know if it was by fluke or not, but I could not believe the power compared to a spin reel. It was just, it was a 44 centimetre bream, and it just like I was winching it out of the bloody snags like it was a bloody 25 centimetre bream.
Wow.
And I haven't caught one that big on it since, but just you've got to literally get out in the backyard and just continue to cast, because the obviously the line runs off the spool
differently.
Yeah. And you've either got to finger the spool, or you've got to have the brakes adjusted perfectly on it. There's a lot of finesse system to it. It's
nice fine braid works well with wind knots and overruns and all that sort of thing. For the beginner, probably stick to this sort of stuff. But that is a big thing, probably something we'll talk about down the track.
And I mean, like you say, for a beginner, I mean, that's in the budget for a beginner.
Yep.
You know, these days, you know, maybe not a few years back, but these days that is definitely in the – and like you said, they've come down in price. There's a lot more people making them these days, and technology's getting better, and they're obviously building them, you know, in bulk. So the price does come down a lot.
And the rods and reels nowadays, most of the high-end technology you'll find even in the budget gear. You know, the top gear has all the best bits in it, but most of the budget rods and reels in particular have most of that technology anyway.
Yeah. Just got to make sure you look after them because they're so light. Rightio, what are we matching that with in the way of reels, boys? What have we got here?
So we've got a couple of Dowell reels there. I've just picked one of the lower end reels at $120. We did a competition a couple of years ago, and my wife actually got second in the Australia for the women's, and she won one of these Dowell ads. And you know,
2,500, is it?
Yeah. And I actually I don't tell her, but I use it as my backup reel.
You just have
Tiny, aren't they?
So it's just been sitting there. You know, she uses it a couple of times a year, and I use it probably a couple of times a year when I need an extra combo.
Yeah.
Just because you can pick it up, it feels very familiar. It's super smooth and silky.
Has she been looking for it?
No. But for $120, this has got to be the best value for reel.
Wow.
On
Bang,
the market.
That's
Absolutely.
fantastic,
You
isn't
know,
it?
it's got a lot of the technology that the a lot of the higher end Dowell reels have. They kind of adopt it with the earlier stages and put it into the newer reels. So yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong
Beautiful
with the
feel
Dowell
about
Ed.
it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've also just grabbed the Dowell Black label, Dowell Black reel. Just because we've got the Dowell Black rod as well, and just matching it up, and it looks slick as like that. Just $300 for that reel, and it's the same deal. It's got a lot of the technology that some of the higher end Dowell reels have. That just really well in the budget as well. That $300 reel.
And if you look after these reels, as Callum no doubt does, probably better than I do, but they will last you a long time. They're probably the difference between the top end reels, you know, your Saltigas, your Stellas, that sort of thing, and these reels. They're probably not as strongly built, as durable, not going to take the knocks as well, probably not sealed quite as well. But if you look after them, you'll get a lot of years out of this, and you could go through 4 or 5 of these anyway before you'd get near the price of what you pay for one top end reel.
Yeah.
And if you look after them and keep cleaning them and keep them out of
fresh water.
dunkings, you'll get years of good use out of them.
Yeah.
Yep. Try not to sink the boat with all the gear on it.
And just on that, how you do clean a reel properly is you tighten the drag, not fully all the way up, but just notch it up, and you just squirt it with the hose and let it dry out. And before you put it back in the shed, make sure you undo the drag just to your normal capacity, and then that's it.
Yep.
You don't need to open it up and grease anything anymore, as long as you don't dunk it in the water. Just give it a fresh water spray.
I'm lazy. I take him in the shower with me.
Dead simple.
But I remember you would remember John Devitt, the reel.
Oh yeah.
He used to do reel repairs. He always said warm cloth, a little bit of soapy water. But he said never spray them because he reckoned that pushed the salt and stuff into them. But being lazy, I just put the rod and reel in the shower.
So you can do it all in one hit, can't you? That's right. That's a good idea. As long as you've got fresh
Mrs.
water.
likes fishing reels on the bench where you brush your teeth.
Oh, it won't kill her.
I'm sure there's plenty of people got a lounge room full of fishing gear, mate.
Yeah, we
But again, I mean, what we've done there is you've got really good combos for, well, you could $300.
yeah, they're very
Really
at the
good
most,
quality
yeah.
combo.
very affordable for the average bloke.
Yeah, I don't think I've got any. Whenever I go down there, I'm looking at things more expensive, and that's the thing. I always think to myself, surely I don't have to spend that much. And you don't have to spend that much, you know. You just got to know what you're looking for when you get there.
That's exactly
And
right.
It's
talking
like golfers, though, isn't it? You've got to have flash clubs and a flash bag.
and the $1,000 driver, yeah, not me.
It's not going to help my golf.
Yeah, I can't.
This guy does.
I can't say that.
He had to go and buy a big driver, but that's right. You can still hit a good ball with a $200 driver, not a $1,000 driver.
Or in my case, you can hit equally badly with no matter what you're using.
Still doesn't stop you from putting them in the bush.
And I think that's the thing. I mean, you know, when you guys go fishing and you've obviously got a lot of fishing gear, you need to look after it because you can't be replacing it all the time. I mean, you know, when you're, even if it is $200 for a rod and $150 for a reel, I mean, you've got to make them last anyway because...
Well, when I go bream fishing or mulloway fishing, I have a pretty old rod and reel combo that I got from Tackle HQ. The reel's really nice. It's a Stellar, and then I've got a Poison Adrena rod. But then I'll have 2 or 3 other rods rigged up, ready to go in case I decide to switch. You know, I'm normally throwing stick baits around or something like that, but if I want to chuck soft plastics...
Yeah,
and the other rods are quite often just very, very cheap little outfits that I've had for years.
Backups.
Yeah, and to be honest, they work just as fine.
yeah.
Yeah, I have no issues with using them
It's
at
good
all.
to have them rigged up with different stuff too. I mean, because, you know, instead of having to put another lure on, you can just grab another rod.
Yeah.
with different setups, it gives you
Well,
completely
you'd be
different
like that in
options.
comps and
Yeah,
you need the different. I mean, that's why, like, this is Senza. This actually comes out in 6 different models for the same rod, just to suit varying techniques and lure choices. Yeah,
And where you're fishing.
exactly. Yeah,
Yep.
like you can get the ultralight 1 to 3 kilo rods, which that's not going to cut it in the snags and around jetties. You know, you need a slightly heavier 2 to 4 or even 2 to 5 kilo rod for that.
How many rods did you have on the go up in Mandurah?
I only have 4. It's a lot of guys even have up to 8.
Well,
Yeah, and just cover all the bases. And that's the good thing about having the rods with 6 in a model. So if you like that design, you can you pick them up and they feel familiar every single time
yeah,
because it's the same rod, just different weights or different lengths.
it doesn't affect your casting.
Nah, and like growing up and, you know, get one of these, and then you've got 4 different rods, and then you pick another one up, takes a couple of casts to get used to it, you hang it up in the tree, and so that's the beauty of today's technology is you can get a rod and just that model suits all applications.
Yep.
All right, what are we putting on the reel, boys?
We're running braid. Or you would sometimes run straight fluorocarbon in comps, would you?
I always have a fluorocarbon rod now, so 3 pound straight through fluorocarbon. I love fishing that, especially around like the oyster racks where they've got nothing to bust you off on, and when the water's crystal clear, you can put the rod in the water and just wind with this very, very light line, and they'll just swim around until they're exhausted. But yeah, today we got Dowell J-Braid Expedition. So this is the new Dowell braid. They've come a long way. I remember the very first batch of J-Braid. It didn't last long on my reel. I wasn't a fan of it at all, but they've just kept upping it and kept. They've got this awesome Japanese technology in this braid now, and we've got it alongside some Tasline, which is an Australian designed and manufactured line. It's one of the only braids that is manufactured in Australia, and they've come a long way as well. They've got some big names on board. That's got incredibly good knot strength as well as casting distance.
Yeah.
And then some fluorocarbon, some Dowell fluorocarbon.
So if we're using these rods and these reels, what braid is it? Is it pound wise?
Oh,
They're both
That's 8 pound.
8 pound.
That's 8
Yeah,
pound.
both 8
4
pound.
pound fluorocarbon.
So that would be the go for your 45 centimetre brim.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yep.
8 pounds a really good size for braid. I I find that if you go like a 6 or a 4 pound braid, it's actually too limp and subtle for its own good. So you get more you get knots.
Yeah.
It's harder to tie knots, and it wears a lot faster. But 8 pound, beautiful line. If you hook a mulloway in the river or a salmon, you've still got plenty of guts in it. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Do you prefer a slightly stiffer line then rather than a soft line? Because I went through a phase where I tried those really, really fine lines for brim and almost like cotton.
Yep.
And it was great for about the 3 casts before I got a wind knot. But within one session, I had half a spool empty. So I actually like I used to use fire line a lot because it was just a lot stiffer. And I just got, flicking stick baits around and working with a lot of slack. I just found that was a lot more reliable.
It is for those lures that are a bit more, they got that harder edge to them, like a heavier soft plastic, or I know Scott really likes using those sugar pen stick minnows, about 50 mil long, but they actually weigh about 5 or 6 grams. Just a heavier, that type of line really gets the action working on the lure, where I would use a really finer line for, say, a really light, hard body, just slowly trickling along the bottom.
Yep.
And you can feel absolutely everything with it, because that the bream will just pick it up and they'll just nibble on the end of it, and that's when you pause the lure. You know exactly when it's just had a bit of a crack at it but hasn't felt the hooks.
What about for your mussels? What's your preferred approach for those?
Well, I run a Japanese braid for those as well. It's called Goosen. It's not available really on the shelves at like a retail. It's mainly like a niche online product, but it's getting a lot of traction. But yeah, that's a real supple type of line. And it's just because I'm not doing massive casts on the flats with it. I'm just kind of just underhand castings in and around jetties and snags.
Yep.
And I'm actually half the time I'm letting the current kind of take the lure, and I'm just watching the line the whole time. And I think with a real subtle type of very light braid, you can just feel, and because most of the time you won't get that big bite. It's just you see the line just gradually start taking off as they've cradled it in their mouth.
Yeah. So you run a completely separate combo for your musk lures?
Yeah.
As
use
opposed to, like your hard bodies or?
It's actually pretty similar to like a light hard body rod. Bit longer. So it's got a little bit more, just a little bit faster taper in the tip, so you can kind of work those hooks in. Yeah. So if you had a medium taper rod, that's what I'd use for a hard body.
Yep.
Yeah. Faster taper seems to suit the muscles quite well.
And what are we putting on the end? We're putting this stuff on the end?
You got to have fluorocarbon.
You've got to have fluorocarbon.
Absolutely. Yep.
And you were saying that you don't even use this sometimes, you just use this.
Yeah.
Straight through.
4 pound. It's that strong that you can do that.
Oh, yeah, we use 2 or 3 pound for fluorocarbon.
Wow.
Yeah.
Technology
it's
is good,
It's
isn't
good
it?
fun. You'll be surprised what you can catch with it. And the good thing about fluoro is it's quite stretchy. So you hook a fish, and sometimes they don't even know they're hooked until they're halfway out.
Yeah.
Because the stretch on the line, it's kind of like it's.
Does your catch rate increase?
Yeah, it does in clear water.
Yeah.
You'll notice there's a big difference with bites. Absolutely.
And you're obviously using a very small lure on something like that.
Yeah, I love using similar to what Scott uses, but 38 mil, so a lot smaller, 2 grams. They still cast very well. Having straight through fluorocarbon.
That's light fishing, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot of fun, that sort of finesse.
Yep.
Fishing. I mean, the thing I like about the stick baits, and I'll throw soft plastics around. I haven't thrown a bib minnow for years, I don't think. But what I do like about those stick baits I use is the hits. I just love how they get crunched. I mean, there are times when they just don't work, and you'll go and try something else. But the crunching hits, especially on the flats, are so much fun.
Yeah.
That first, and they'll surge and take 5 metres of line. It's great. I mean, you could how much could you spend on lures? We've talked about stick baits, soft plastics, mussels. I've been trying the little jigs. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
A lot of it's just mood. Well, it's my mood anyway. I mean, it's a bit different for you. If you're in a comp, you're trying to achieve something. trying to win, so you'll use what you think is going to be the most effective. A lot of times for me, it's just what I feel like doing.
Yeah. So these little rovens, you use them on the flats? Or?
Yeah, I used them the other day and caught an absolute stack of bream on them. The bream were on the chew.
Yeah.
I've caught bonefish on them as well up at Cocos.
Wow.
And they'd be deadly on Skippy and flathead in the next summer when I'm in Perth. I'll definitely go and throw them around for flatties. They're just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
The most simple of simple lures. It's a tiny little piece of metal. Ocean's Legacy makes them. Allen Co, the 3 gram one I've been using with the assist hooks on. I put the assist hooks on the tail the other day, but I would think, say you wanted to try them up the Coghlan, perhaps putting them on the top eye would be the way to avoid more snags. But yeah, they're just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And the bream seem to absolutely love them. They obviously flutter very well on the way down because I've got a lot of hits on the drop.
They're rippers, aren't they? Yeah.
They're the last thing I'd be expecting to use for a bream or...
Oh, well, remember back in the day, did you ever have the Sandgroper's Guide, the little blue book? And remember it had the chapter on black bream and it said, you've got to go there at night and you've got to cast your prawn out and watch the line and just wait.
Prawns,
yeah, there was you can't catch them on bait. They're too wily for that. And then somewhere in about the mid-'80s, I reckon, someone started catching bream on lures. I think Gary Shug and those sorts of guys got into it. And now, well, that's all I do for bream. I haven't put a river prawn on for years.
You don't even get your hands dirty anymore, do you?
But isn't that amazing? Like it was,
you got a
bream
prawn
will
here.
not fall for lures.
Yeah. You don't need an esky with ice anymore.
Here's a prawn that doesn't move.
Everything eats prawn.
Yeah, and the After 25 show that came out, it was like you can't reinvent the wheel anymore. There's the amount of prawn lures is just out of control.
Ridiculous, is it?
And everyone's just trying to just
That's a
upgrade
honker,
the prawn somehow, or add a few more little floating legs or appendages, and just you can't get better than what's on the market at the moment. With I remember the old prawn stars, that just makes them look like a bloody piece of rubbish. I know
still got a few prawn stars somewhere.
How many crabs are out there on the market now? I can remember when my son brought home the first crab lure, and now there's hundreds of them. Isn't there?
remember seeing the first cranker crab at After in the tank with the claws sitting up, and that was brilliant.
Yeah.
And I've got a few of those. I haven't used them a lot. You've probably used them more than me, but I've caught bream on them. I've caught bonefish on them. Up at Cocos there, mate.
But there's also a lot of good lure makers out there too, like yourself, Dowell. I mean, there's so many more people making their own lures now. It's not only the big companies and that, but obviously, they might even pinch the design. But there is a lot of guys around who are making lures because they're using them all the time and they've found out, what works and what doesn't.
Yeah, that's right. And a lot of lure makers in niche markets, they fill the gaps in. So, you can't mass produce a timber lure. Really.
No.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of lure guys. And the timber lures, they move different in the water. They suspend different. And you can trick them up a little bit more than like a something straight out of the packet. And that's how it works, and that's how you have to rig it for it to swim. So.
Yep.
And I know guys who make their own lures just for their own purposes. They're not trying to sell them or market them. They just get a kick out of making their own lures and catching them, catching good fish on them.
Yeah.
So where are we using these hard ones?
So that's the Dowell double clutch. It's been around for years, but it just
foolproof.
They will always be on the market. It's very versatile. You can use it as a jerkbait. You can use it as a shad type lure. You can hold the rod tip down in the water and it will dive to about 1.5 meters or so, or you could hold it up high and it will only go to 0.5 meter. Like you can just really pinpoint how you want to fish them.
Yeah.
And they suspend really well, so you can treat it like just a shallow or a deep runner, or you could treat it like a jerkbait too.
Because bream are quite partial to surface lures in summer when the weather's warm. You can have a lot of fun catching bream on surface lures, a little baby barra.
So it just depends on the bib on the front, how deep she's going.
Yep.
And then you get the good action in the water is what you need.
As we were saying, I use bibless minnows, sinking stick baits, so they don't have a natural action. They flutter a bit, but it's just working the rod tip, and you can fish them on the bottom or up the top.
Yeah,
it's interesting. Sometimes I've fished bream estuaries where, most of the time with the stick bait, you just erratic retrieve, wounded bait fish. There are some systems I've fished where you've almost just got to sit them on the bottom.
Yes.
You don't move them. You just drop it on the bottom, little twitch, and then just let it sit there.
I
They'll
found
come
that
and pick it up.
with the Blackwood, because we were at the boat ramp one time and, you know, we're getting ready for a competition and there's all these gobies and then they're literally moving about 2 centimetres at a time along the bottom, just and I was fishing my stick bait and I was actually talking to the guy I was fishing with and my stick bait was sitting on the bottom and I kind of just moved my rod tip a bit and bang, one hit it. And I go, and it just teed up. That's how it works. And I guess that's another thing with these lures too, is you just got to observe the bait fish in the system. What are they doing? How are they moving? And what colour the bait fish are as well, because they obviously vary tannin stained rivers to really clear water estuaries. And the good thing about tackle shops is they've got pretty much the whole range of colours. They've got to have 20 lures to sell one. So you can match the hatch really well with what
and that's the other thing, like you were just saying, you know, when you do get up in the morning and you get out there, you got to assess everything, don't you, to see what you're going to be using for the day. I mean, like you say, the water could be completely different to what you thought it was going to be, and you get, you know, you're going to look through your whole tackle box and find out, right, I'm not using that today, I'm going for something else.
Well, I've got a good story about this Carmen red colour. So me and my brother went fishing, we weren't catching anything, and my brother just continues to change lures during the session. I don't generally. I kind of stick with my favourites. But he had one of these, and second cast he got a bream over 2 kilos, and it was 47.5 to the fork of the tail. It would have been over 50 centimetres to the tip of it if it had a tail. The tail was cut off.
No way.
Yeah, and I could not believe it. This big red lure just unearthed this giant bream.
Yeah.
You know,
Unbelievable.
It just goes to show that sometimes you can just put the most randomest colour on and just change the day completely.
Yep.
Yeah, there is no best colour, is there really? I mean, I like gold at different times. I like metallic at different times. And on one day colour works, and some days it makes a big difference. You switch colour and the fish will react. Other days it doesn't really.
Yeah, it's like
matter.
it's like going squidding.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
We had this white one in the tackle box and it used to catch all the time. You know, the sun shining. We went out one day, didn't catch one squid with it. All the colours caught squid.
Yeah.
We thought, what's wrong with this useless thing? We've been using it for so long and it used to catch all the squid.
Yeah.
You just never know. What do we got here in these bags?
So I've got some soft plastics as well.
Z-Man, they've been around for a while.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So they're a little bit of an unsung hero. That people think they're a little bit too big for bream, but all the bream I've caught on them have had it halfway down their bloody throats. They're a jerk shad style lure. They're almost 4 inches long. And I reckon, you know, back in the day, if you would have looked at that, you would have said, no way, bream's going to eat that. But times have changed. And with these, I think it's actually how you rig them is the main thing. To get that soft plastic on straight, perfectly straight, and just tapering off as the hook shank kind of comes in, I reckon just gives it that bit really lovely like movement on the lift. Because if your lure is shaped off to one side, then that's where it's going to swim, and it's just not going to look natural at all. So there's a lot of good guides to learn how to rig a soft plastic properly, and the good thing about these TPE soft plastics, with coupled with the G-Curds we've got here, is they've got a awesome keeper on them. So you can actually rig all these at night before you go fishing, and just saves you on the water wasting time trying to get it right.
Will you use super glue or anything to keep the plastic on, or?
Yeah, the best super glue to use is Loctite 406. It doesn't eat into the soft plastic, and you only need just a tiny dab.
Does the bream like it?
The super glue?
Yeah.
Well, these days we don't have any here, but we use a bit of scent as well on the soft plastics. Just put a little bit of scent on there, and it'll mask the smell of any super glue.
Yep.
That's why it's good to do it the night before.
What size head are we using on those?
You got a 1/20th here.
Yeah, the 1/20th. Because
depends on where you're fishing, really, doesn't it? And what the water's doing.
These are quite buoyant too. So, like if you use a 1/32, like a really light G-Cad, they actually won't sink. So 1/20th, 1/16th, people even use them. The lighter G-Cad you can use, the better. Generally, like it'll just give the lure a lot more action with a lighter G-Cad. If there's the current's incredibly strong, then you're going to have to use a 1/8 jig head, and just knowing that you're getting it down to the bottom. But yeah, lighter the better.
Same concept as bait fishing, though, isn't it? You know, you're always told use the lightest sinker you can when you're bait fishing.
Yeah.
Whatever will do the job, and it's exactly the same with jig heads, pretty much.
Yeah.
And there are 1,000 different shapes and styles of jig heads. Do you
And
run
sizes.
weedless much?
Yeah.
Do you ever run weedless?
In the Blackwood, when you're fishing tea trees, for sure, because the bream are sitting hard up underneath them, and you almost need to cast it in there and then tickle it out, and then just let it sink just at the face of the snag. That's the best you're going to get without getting busted off every single time. But
Prawns again. Yep. As we said, everything eats prawns. There's nothing that won't eat a prawn.
And these are, what are they supposed to replicate? Like a
bait fish.
A bait fish, yeah.
The Nomad design, these guys have come so far in the past 5 years. Like they were just a company that kind of accommodated for if you're fishing up north or, you know, over on the east coast up in the reefs and stuff like that. But now they've kind of branched out and got into the freshwater scene and the light estuary scene as well. And some of these lures I'm really excited to try out, especially this little grub here. I reckon this will go really well on the Swan River. Just a bit bulkier profile, and same deal. There's a lot of curl-tail grubs out there in the market, but this grub tail just seems to be a lot different than a couple of the other ones, and that might maybe the thing that'll get you the next bite is just having something slightly different.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because you know what they're going to eat. They're going to eat a grub. If you just have a little bit different tail, a little bit different profile, this has got a few appendages on it. Just makes it seem like it's something a bit different. And
do you feel like if you fish a system the same way with the same type of lure consistently, that the fish do eventually wise up?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I found that in Mandurah in the Serpentine River.
Yep.
You always using 2.5 inch grubs, and then the bites started dying on those, and then I put a 2 inch grub on, a lot smaller in profile, and then just started catching the same amount as I was previously.
Yeah, right.
And you just feel like I think they just get, because you're fishing for residential fish. We catch and release, putting them back. They live in the same area. They're going to be, they're going to know.
Dummies.
Yeah.
They're smarter than we think.
Well, that's it.
That's the problem. They're smarter than us.
Smarter than us.
That's the problem.
I was watching last night a special on an octopus, and talking about being smart, they are, you know, obviously one of the smartest animals there are alive. And they said they've been around before the dinosaurs, and what they can do out in the water to stay away and not be prey to their colour.
Yeah.
They put out the big screen of ink. I was watching it, and there's, I think it was a lake in South America or somewhere like that where these real big squid live, and they're inland. And I don't know how they got there, but they were saying they're the most intelligent of any octopus that there is on the planet. And they said they started back, 3,000 million years ago or some ridiculous amount, and you can't catch them. They're that smart.
Well, there's a challenge.
Yeah.
Someone will be
So
trying.
talking about a bream being smart, I reckon I knew that they were smart octopus, but this thing was smart. Yeah. We couldn't catch one. We had one on the boat one day, and I kept turning around. He disappeared and then he turned up just as I was about to turn the key on up the front. Here he was, right underneath, and I just about fell overboard. And we got it in a cray pot off of North Mole, and I couldn't believe it. This thing was they were like prehistoric, you know. But
It was a battle of wits, and he was beating you.
Yeah, he's beaten me by a long way. Yeah, I was nearly in the water, and he'd taken over the boat.
So what we've got here today is a great range of gear. I mean, we've talked a lot about bream, obviously, which, you know, if you live on the south coast, I mean, we're better to bream fish, really. As you head north, you've got other species of bream, but this south coast, we've got that many estuaries and rivers, and they've all got their different characteristics, not quite personalities, but and I don't know, I find some systems fire at some years, and then they seem to go off a bit, and another system fires.
Yeah, it's all quite seasonal, and as you said before, it's a mood thing too. Like, I don't really feel like going to the Hay River and just casting at snags all day. I want to kind of get out on the flats and branch out and try and catch some hard fighting fish in shallow water. And then some days it's a really terrible day and you go, I just feel like casting into snags all day. So, and then that comes with, different lure choices and just kind of keeps the fire burning, really.
A bigger tackle bag.
Exactly, mate. Yeah.
But we've talked about bream, but our southern systems, we get mulloway obviously, which are a lot of fun when you catch it. I think the first bream mulloway, the Coghlan was with you. You got one day. That was years ago, just at the ski ramp, pretty much. We've got mulloway. We get a lot of salmon, trout, and sometimes big salmon coming up the rivers and estuaries. There's King George whiting. Yeah, silver bream.
Beaufort Inlet last year had King George whiting in it because it opened about 3 or 4 times and they were catching King George in there. And a couple of years before, everything was dead.
There's a guy on Instagram called Paramount. I can't remember can't remember the last bit to it, but anyway, he does all studies of that system.
Yeah.
And, like you said, he strung nets out and they caught 2 sea mullet in kilometres worth of nets.
Wow.
And then he went down a year later and got 8 sea mullet. And then he went down 6 months later and started getting little bream. And then all of a sudden the guys are catching, the systems come back. So
they come back. Yeah.
Well, I think the Pallinup's a classic example of that. I mean, that was 5 years ago. That was incredible. The fishing you had there was just almost unmatchable. So many big fish. And then there was a big fish kill. Virtually wiped it out. But now, the fish are back to 30 again. It's slowly coming back.
Yeah, it's been opening out. We've been getting quite a bit of rain.
And Pallinup was, they had King George in there and pink snapper and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah,
a lot of crabs.
Yeah.
So that was actually very sad what happened to that. It was just
we
an
were down
amazing
there
fishery.
camping at that time and there was dead fish everywhere. It was shocking, yeah. But no, it's definitely come back. And we've had a lot of rain this year down here. What's that going to do to the fishing in the systems?
Oh, we're going to have a good spawn this year.
Yep.
Yeah, really good spawn. The water in Denmark is pretty much in the car park. Yeah, the bar's almost about to open.
I think they're opening any day now.
Yeah, Nannerup's had a massive flood.
Gracetown. You couldn't even get out of Gracetown the other day either.
It's great for these systems to get that flush though. We've seen all those systems out towards Breamer have now opened. Pallinup, we're talking about being one of them. It's what you need because I think it was the Pallinup stayed closed for so long it went hypersaline. You need these flushes.
150 salt parts per 1,000, which standard seawater is 36, so it was almost 5 times.
Did you bring any of your lures in today, mate?
Nah, mate. Nah. I left them at home. Just get away from them for a day.
You've been sending them out on orders.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah,
that has been amazing for you.
Oh, it's incredible. Like I told the boys, when I first started making them, I thought I was just making them for a few mates and, fishing them myself. And then it's turned into a full-time business for almost 4 years. And I just bought another little one out the other day. So really, really lightweight finesse mussel. And just for those guys, fishing pontoons and jetties around Melbourne where those big resident fish and the Swan River too, they're working all right up there. It just gives people a different option, especially when you're shore bashing and you're just dropping lures down at your feet. And those fish have probably seen it all.
Yep.
Well, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. And you've certainly seen that. So you came up with a great concept.
Absolutely. Good stuff. All right. Thanks, boys. And thanks to Trailblazers for giving us all this equipment today. Well, I suppose we better take it back at some time. But,
take it back.
They've got plenty of stuff down there. Anybody wants to, who's local in Albany, go down to Trailblazers and you can get all this equipment and much more down there.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming, Dowley, and thanks, Scott. Scott, you're off up north soon.
Mackerel Islands in about a week and a half with
Yep.
Andrew Jarvis and about 90 other guys. So
Yeah, we're coming next year. Hopefully there's still a couple of spots. I had to talk
We'll
to you
save
about
you a
that
spot.
today. And Chunk here, he's pretty keen to get back up north, aren't you, Chunk? Especially after this winter.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll be going soon.
I'm looking forward to the sun.
I know.
Bit of
We had a
warmth would be
little
nice.
bit the other day for 3 days and then it went back to this sort of weather again. Thanks to anybody who's listening and anyone who's watching. We're going to have another tackle talk in probably 3 months' time. We're going to have 4 a year if we can for all the different seasons, and we might even get Scott on to talk about salmon, one of his favourites down here. And I'm sure there'll be some new lures out by that time and new gear that you can go salmon fishing with. Thanks for coming, boys, and enjoy the beautiful weather until you go north.
Cheers.
No worries, thank you.
Fantastic.
Good on you.
This episode was sponsored by Trailblazers Albany and Hooked on Middleton Beach.